Hello and welcome to our viewers from around the world. This is Business Incorporated. I am Bolaji Akinwale. Coming up on the program, U.S. President Barack Obama is set to meet with the chairperson of the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, over the state of the country's economy. Also on the program, Nigeria's finance minister talked about the federal government's outlook on the economy. And later on the show, updates from the fixed income markets as we discuss figures from the FMDQ Securities Exchange. We will begin with a planned meeting between President Barack Obama and the U.S. Federal Reserve Chairperson Janet Yellen on the economic and regulatory issues. The White House said in a statement released last night that the President and the Fed Chair will meet privately to discuss the state of the American and global economy, Wall Street reform, and the long-term economic outlook. The meeting comes as the central banker is struggling to push her campaign to raise interest rates amid a still fragile global economy. It also takes place as the Fed prepares to complete, in conjunction with other agencies, some sensitive regulatory matters that Obama has made a high priority. These include rules governing executive compensation for top financial executives. And still in the U.S., analysts say it has been the worst start to the year since the financial crisis in 2007 to 2008 and expect poor first quarter results when reporting begins this week. Concerns about economic growth in China, the impact of persistently low oil prices on the energy sector, and near zero interest rates are weighing on capital markets activities as well as loan growth. Analysts forecast a 20% decline on average in earnings from the 6 biggest U.S. banks. According to Thomson Reuters, we're seeing some of the banks include Goldman Sachs Groups, which is expected to report the worst results in over 10 years. Now, this spells trouble, according to the report, for the financial sector more broadly, since banks typically generate at least a third of their annual revenues during the first 3 months of the year. And Tata Steel is beginning the formal process of selling its loss-making U.S. plants, inviting interested bidders to submit their offers. So far, the only company to have publicly expressed an interest is Liberty Steel, owned by Sanjeev Gupta. Thousands of workers in England and Wales risk losing their jobs if a deal cannot be struck. However, reports say a City investment firm will agree to buy Tata's Scunthorpe plants. Grable Capital has been in talks to buy the business for several months and is expected to invest up to £400 million in the company. Okay, we hope to track the developments in the European market in a bit, but let's move on now as we talk to you about updates in relation to the Panama Papers. Of course, the UK government now is set to set up a new task force to investigate allegations of tax dodging and money laundering in light of the Panama Papers leak. Now, this was announced by Prime Minister David Cameron as he released details of these tax returns in an effort to diffuse a row over his financial affairs. The units will be led by HM Revenue and Customs and the National Crime Agency. It will also include specialists from the Serious Fraud Office and the Financial Conduct Authority. The move is also being seen as an effort by Mr. Cameron to regain the initiative on the issue of tax avoidance after attention focused on his own involvement with his late father's offshore fund, Blaymore Holdings. Still on the Panama Papers leak, South Africa's former president and the chairman of the United Nations Economic Commissions for Africa, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, has called for the investigations of those accused of money laundering in the Panama paper leak. According to a press release from the Commission, investigating allegations of money laundering is a decent start to the efforts required. Mr. Mbeki stated that all countries should not only be limited to the findings in the Panama Papers, but should go further to uncover other possible destinations of the proceeds from tax evasion. It described the exposures contained in the Panama Papers as a massive blow to financial secrecy, which must be encouraged. Specific efforts must continue to put political pressure on that laws enabling banking secrecy and the registration of shell companies. Otherwise, harmful tax practices and higher levels of financial misappropriations as exposed by the Panama Papers will continue to be a scourge that we find ourselves discovering only when there are people bold enough to expose them. We're going to break now. When we come back, we'll be talking to you about relationship between China and some European countries. Please stay with us.
It's got a combination to give you a bright start. There's no better way to start your day. Get ready, everybody get ready for breakfast. Yes, get ready for breakfast. It's Sunlight Daily.
You're welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching Business Incorporated. We're coming to you from Channel's television headquarters in Lagos. China and Germany plan to strengthen the alignment of what they call Made in China 2025 and Industry 4.0 strategies. Now, this is part of the resolutions reached at a meeting between the leaders of both countries in Beijing. China says she is willing to deepen cooperation with Germany and Europe. Okay, we hope to bring you that story shortly on the program. Still on China, the Chinese president and his Swiss counterparts plan to formulate a Sino-Swiss strategic partnership centered on innovation. Chinese President Xi Jinping says that Switzerland was one of the first Western countries to establish diplomatic ties with China. He added that both countries plan to work together to improve on trade and economy.